Hi, y'all. It's Bridget Cutshaw with Real Things Living. Today, my guest is Grace Charrier, and she's a patient advocate and a cancer survivor. She lives in New York City, and she's involved in a lot of projects. Grace, can you say hi and introduce yourself?
Hey everyone. Thank you, Bridget, for having me. Good morning from New York City. My name is Grace Charrier. As Bridget mentioned, I'm in New York and I'm a patient advocate. Yes.
So, how did you get involved in that? Because that to me is so important because we both have been through the patient perspective. So, what got you motivated to get involved? Just curious.
Yeah, motivation stemmed from when I was on my sick bed, and having conversations with other people around me who were going down the rabbit hole. They had lost focus, they had lost hope, they had lost, families even because a lot of relationships went down under. So my motivation stemmed from that to give people some sense of hope and ask them not to be overwhelmed. Yes, it's an overwhelming experience, but also to remain in the present and know that, good things will come out in the end. The thing that I also harp on is being in tune with your body to know when something is
Yes.
right or not
Yes.
right. And if you are, then you can actually nip anything in the bud.
Right. I'm a big believer too in focusing on prevention, right? To
Mhm.
try to, the help. And then you, like you said, when you focus on your body in the prevention part, you will pick up on something quicker, I think, sooner.
Absolutely.
And that's kind of what happened with me. And I'm sure that's with you. And it's just an amazing thing how much the technology, I should say technology, but there's a lot of tech involved now in treating cancer. And not everybody fits it, right? And
Yes, not everybody fits it.
right, everybody is so people don't realize that, like with the breast cancer, that they think, oh, it's just breast cancer. I'm like, no, it's like over 30 different types and
Hmm.
different um reasons to have it.
Yes,
I get
indeed.
it.
And not one, as they say, cancers are different and, the methods of treatment are different. Like
Yes.
somebody asked me, can we use Taxol for treating colon cancer? And I'm like, no, Taxol is just for breast cervical cancer, but you can't
Right.
use it for prostate cancer or anything like that. Go to your oncologist,
Yes. They're the ones that are up to date. Those people are my doctor recommended what was it? It was a shot I had to get the next day. I forgot what it was called. So I don't want to have all those memories in my head.
Yes, I know.
But the day after chemo, I go back in and I would get a shot. I think it was like white blood cells, and it would help reduce the pain.
Mhm.
I don't know if you had to have that done because it could have make your bones hurt. The type of
Mhm.
chemo that I had, and that was really helpful to get that shot. And then they also recommended I take like an allergy pill. But that allergy pill does helps with the inflammation. Even though some people are totally against all that medicine, hey, I'm still here. Okay.
Exactly. That's what I tell people, because even with all the chemotherapy, then when you're on it, you don't really feel it. But now, a couple of years later, you're beginning to feel the aches and pains, you understand?
Uh-huh.
The, what should I say, like aftermath of the chemo, because sometimes I have like pains in my bones or something, and
Right.
I refuse to take any pills.
Right.
Otherwise, you get addicted. So I'm like, okay, I'll just brave it. It's manageable. So these are things one should, yeah, like you said. I guess your doctor, right, had to give you some kind of preventative measure,
Well, what I don't.
protection.
I did all the other stuff too about like genetic testing, and I'm like
Hmm.
negative. But you know why? I mean, it doesn't say I have that. As you know, people don't know all that. The research is done on Caucasians, white people. Well, I'm part Asian, so
Yes.
my stuff is not accurate. And I did read.
Hmm.
I don't remember where recently, but I read they need to get more African Americans and Asians involved in this data because I could have.
And clinical trials. Yeah,
Yes, they're not. And
absolutely.
I don't
Yeah.
know maybe it's just where the research is being done in Northern Europe or something, or I just thought that was very interesting. One of the ladies said, "Oh, your results aren't going to be accurate because you got Asian in you." I'm like,
Yes.
great. So that's why I'm really focused on prevention, because you just don't know. And yeah, like mine is so many different aspects, and yours is too. And how many years ago were you diagnosed with?
I was diagnosed in 2016, so had like, let's just say, a whole year of treatment off and on.
Right.
Finished all my treatments in 2017.
Wow.
And so it's 3 years in remission, let's say, because we start from after treatments, right? So 3 years in touch wood. COVID has not allowed me go for my annual MRIs.
Right.
Hopefully very soon, as my doctors say, but fingers
Yeah,
crossed.
that's what's, especially in New York, your hospital system is probably even more overloaded than.
Yes, yes, yes. So I have to, I mean, if I see my doctor, I have to be referred to a diagnostic center. It's one thing seeing my doctor, but it's another thing going into the diagnostic center.
Yes.
And because when you're immunocompromised like we are,
Yes.
they're trying to keep you safe, because a lot of people are going in and out of that place. You don't know who is asymptomatic, you understand? So they're trying to make
That's what,
sure that
right. That's what my
you're
doctor
safe.
reminded me of. I have a lot of doctors because there's my social network. I joke. But he reminded me, you're more at risk because
Hmm.
of having cancer multiple times. Mine is not
Hmm.
just one time. And so obviously this last time, it's been 6 years for me, which is, I see that as a woohoo. But I don't take any medicine. I don't.
Hmm.
I do take my multivitamins, things like that.
Hmm.
And I eat well. I
Hmm.
make sure I've always been good about that. But then in my journey, I'm just going off tangent here, I learned that I had like a dairy allergy, casein protein. Well, if your body is constantly
Yeah.
fighting something like that, other
Hmm.
things can, everybody has cancer at one point. I think it can, that's what my understanding.
Yes, they say it lies dormant
Yes.
until it's activated.
Right. And mine was activated some shape or form, and
Hmm.
having, putting dairy in me was not helping. But I didn't know it because the casein protein, it doesn't digest immediately. It's like 4 hours later. And that's
Wow.
why there was no connection. And as I never really was into dairy, and then as you get older, and that's why I look at everything I eat, dairy is in everything. And I don't understand why that is. It's
I don't do cow's milk
right.
anymore.
Exactly. That's what it is. No cow's
I
milk, no
do
cheese.
oat or almond.
I
Yeah.
That's my favorite thing too. And um, there's a book I'm sure you've heard of called The China Study, and it was
Hmm.
about how that got me so fat. I read it after I learned about my casein protein. It's about that. Our bodies aren't meant to have that, and I think in our country, the U.S., we have
Hmm.
the cows are, what is it? Not genetic issues they got going on here. Like when I went to
The
France.
GMOs and all
Yeah,
that.
yes, it's in everything. When I went to France the last time I went, maybe 7 years ago, because my mother's French, see my
Hmm.
family, I accidentally ate some cheese. I couldn't help myself. I was fine. And that their cows are different over there.
Yes. Grass fed and all, properly
Yes.
grass fed, natural, unlike
Right.
all
And
the other things that are, they put into the ground here for their cows to get fat or,
fat and quickly. Right.
quickly for that matter.
Yeah. And it's just amazing. I've developed a more holistic lifestyle, but just because of that, after what I've been through, and I recommend, to me, what you put in your body is going to help you heal.
Hmm.
And then, anyway, you do a health advocacy. Is it for American Cancer Society as well?
Yes, I'm an athlete of the American Cancer Society. I'm a legislative ambassador. We try to push out, um, well, should we say nudge, the
Right.
let's say it nicely, nudge.
Right.
Congress to pass certain acts and make sure that cancer trials are accessible to especially us who are in the minorities, and
Right.
increase cancer funding. There are a lot of people that really have just been diagnosed with cancer during these COVID months
That's
and have not
scary.
been able to get any treatment. They're not allowed. Some, because cancer is very aggressive. Something that was probably a stage 2, by now people are going into a palliative stage, and that is so sad. You read so many stories and everything. So yes, a legislative ambassador with American Cancer Society, also on the board of Fight Cancer Global, which is we are present in about 56 countries and counting. And yeah, I also try to seek ways of collaborating with other people to push the cancer agenda forward. Because from where I come from, I'm African, right? And
Right.
you tell somebody in Africa they have cancer, that automatically is, okay, I'm going to die. So people end up not even saying that they've discovered something or they think something is wrong because of stigmatization. So
Oh, I think.
the whole
Oh,
essence is to help them speak out and encourage them to speak out, because time is of the essence. If you
right.
can catch it on time, then you have a chance at survival. So that's what we do.
That's good. I mean, that's really helpful. And you just try to, it is about giving people hope.
Hmm.
And when you mentioned the American Cancer Society, do you go to the Washington, D.C., or is it the,
Oh yes, in fact, we couldn't go this year, so we
yeah.
had lobby day, and it was virtual.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
I was able to make a case to Senator Kirsten Gillibrand, who she's been very, very strong in the cancer world, helping us and all that. And you were talking about minorities and clinical trials having access earlier on, and that's one of the things that I pushed towards her because I made a pitch, and happily she's just given the nut to co-sponsoring. I believe you've heard of the Henrietta Lacks research grant, this
Yes.
research act, the story
Yes.
about the lady whose cells were taken without her knowledge.
Yes.
Yes, and so that is to have, for minorities to have access to clinical trials. And so she has just accepted to co-sponsor, and she's going to meet other people across the aisle to also co-sponsor, so that we could move it forward. So I'm very, very happy about that I was able to
That's
be a part
great.
of that legislation, piece of legislation, so to speak.
It's
Yes.
important because to make change happen, it has to
Hmm.
start from us, or you know what I'm saying, not from the top down. People, because people are resistant to things being pushed on you. So you have to understand it. You're creating awareness is really what it is. And that's
Yes, and to make
right.
people know that, listen, health shouldn't be political at all.
Yes, it should not be.
They're making it very political, and people are dying. I mean, look what's happening right now. We don't want to say stuff, but yeah, health is being taken as a political, used as a political weapon, and that's not fair.
No.
So these are things that are very, very important. We are lucky. We have access to some sort of insurance. But what about those that can't, don't have that?
Right. I
So does
can.
it mean that you see it's Children's Cancer right month, and a child that is brought into this world with cancer because the parents cannot afford $10,000 a month for medication, does that mean the child is going to die, or ought to die, or deserves to die?
Right.
So these are things that bother us a lot that we have to
This
process.
insurance thing you mentioned, I just thank God that I had insurance, and it's through my husband's company currently. I mean, we could have been bankrupt. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Without, even though we have but just to stay alive, at the time my son was in high school, and, you know, and that was my motivation, was to be there
Yeah.
for them. But it is just so bizarre that it's all political. The positive thing I think with the ACA when it was passed is that pre-existing conditions
Mhm.
was real important, I think, because
Mhm.
of someone like myself who've had issues from 2000,
Mhm.
start going back to 2006,
Mhm.
right? They could, turn people away like me.
Yes.
Um, and it doesn't matter. I just don't know. It's just so we need to create more awareness and get out there. And I think that's what you're doing and trying to help. And it's
Yes. And like I was telling the senator, I'm like, most times people don't even die from the disease itself. It's from anxieties.
yes,
How are we going
stress,
to go through this stress? I'm going to go bankrupt. The, you know, it's the mind. So these are the things I'm saying. Give succor to those that can't afford these things. Let them have access to clinical,
right? It's
not
fair.
even clinical trials, cancer
Yes,
services, basic cancer services,
yes,
preventative. Let's go for screening. Let's go for MRIs. Let's go for, pap smear tests, all those kind of things. Many women do not have that, and men, it's not a gender thing, do not have that luck. That they're not fortunate.
and a lot of men I know don't like going to the doctor. They don't go to
They're the
yeah.
worst kinds of
Yes.
people to talk about health to.
Like, well, okay, I go, whatever. I'm strong and tough, but yeah,
Yes,
that's what it is, and
it's
it
a
is
lie. They're the last to look at themselves, look after themselves.
right, and
You know.
it's just amazing that how things we do take our health for granted too. I think, and that's why I've been a big advocacy for prevention and learning about it as soon as you can. Another thing, and I think is prevention, that here in our state, that's what I've helped with. American Cancer Society is with the legislators here, is try to get the taxes increased for cigarettes.
Absolutely.
that was that
Absolutely.
that has been a battle, and but if people can't afford it, they're not going to do it. They'll find
Hmm.
a way to stop, and that's kills so many people. um,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the only thing I've only worked with the local legislators, not in DC like you, but it's
Hmm.
just good. And I'm like, hey, I've had cancer, right? Let's just try to that's kind of what
Hmm.
I'm not saying it that way, but
Hmm. Hmm.
but it's really helpful to get as a group.
Yeah, the cigarettes and the young children vaping,
Yes,
these were
yes,
things we really worked on in New York City as well. I'm speaking to our local, not just DC, but speaking to our local legislators as well, because we went to the Capitol here and all that. Because you don't want your kids, I mean, you have a 12-year-old or 13-year-old vaping, for God's sake,
right.
and harmful to their lungs. I mean, look at stories of a couple that died and a couple that survived. And uh, the young guy, too, is now an advocate trying to tell his friends, look what happened to me, stop. Because if it doesn't happen to you, you don't have the voice to put it out there for people to believe you. So
Right.
he's like, listen, it's happened to me. I can't breathe. Another child says I have just one lung, or the other lung is perforated at such an early age. Why kill yourself? What is vaping, for God's sake?
Right. I don't get it either. I don't think I understand what I mean. Like it must be addicting, and
It
that's what it
is.
is.
Oh,
And I
yes, it is.
and I think it has a lot to do with their stress or anxiety. Maybe they're doing it to calm them.
Yeah, and also peer pressure.
Yeah,
When
that's true.
this is the time when they're molded. They're easily molded.
Yes.
Every little thing affects them. They're on, Instagram, all these social media stuff. Oh, it's cool. My friend is
Right.
vaping, so why shouldn't I? And then the vaping apparatus comes in different neon-like looking apparatus. It's very attractive, you understand? So, they're puffing away and all that, but this is it's harmful. It's very true, very,
Yes.
very true.
And it's also not.
You know?
It's like my understanding is that those flavors they have like extra chemicals in
Yes,
there.
Yeah,
It's-
especially the flavored ones, yes.
Yeah.
So for New York, we're adding taxes. Oh yes, and we'll be adding for a very long time until they stop smoking.
Right. You gotta.
My cousin in the United Kingdom was saying that one positive thing that COVID did, a lot of people stopped smoking because they couldn't go out to buy ciggies.
Right. That's true. That's a good thing.
A lot
Correct.
of people stopped. They just, yeah. So when you don't when you don't see it, I mean, you don't have the urge. But if it's all over the place, if it's in the deli around you, the corner from the house or whatever, okay, yes, it's accessible. Now you can't access it. Everywhere is closed. So she was like, so many people that she knew that were smokers, they stopped smoking, and you know, they don't think they're gonna go back.
I'm glad
So,
you brought that up because I've seen the good that I've seen out of COVID is people are actually my neighbors. I live by a lake and there's a trail, but even though we have a lot of traffic nearby, they were outside more walking, and they
mm-hmm,
didn't do that before, and
mm-hmm,
they're getting up and moving because they were kind of trapped in their house,
mm-hmm,
and so I would see them a lot more walking. I
mm-hmm,
think that was really a positive aspect because they always like, oh, you're always outside because I'm a runner too. And
mm-hmm,
that's one of the things I like to do is just helps,
mm-hmm,
well, it keeps my lungs strong or
mm-hmm. Yes.
supposed to be. But I, I think nature is really healing and I'm very thankful that I have this, but I'm
Mm-hmm.
so glad to see my neighbors out walking more and
Yes,
they
that
weren't
helps.
before. It's just amazing that we try to change our habits for the better. And I think it is about starting from the bottom and creating awareness and explaining what the good and bad and the ugly can be if they don't do it, maybe. But you also
Mm-hmm.
have the desire to do it too, right? You have to be motivated, I think,
Yes.
to do it. So, what is your
Yeah.
biggest tip for somebody if they do? I'm just going to switch here since you are an advocate. If they do come down with cancer, what is your biggest tip for them? Or it doesn't have to be one tip, but what should they do?
No, I have several tips. Believe you
Yes,
me, I'm saying this all the time.
perfect. I didn't know.
First of all, be calm.
Yes,
Be calm. You're going to be so overwhelmed with so much information that you just have to say, okay, I got it. And when I say be calm, accept it first.
right.
Because if you don't accept that this is what's happening to you, you can't move forward. Don't be in denial. So accept it, be calm. Also, ask as many questions as possible. Don't be afraid. Because I was asking questions, I was reading up, I was, sieving, I was taking everything in, but I was asking questions, much to the chagrin of my medical team because they were like, oh, you should stop reading. You should
That's
stop.
good.
But I needed to know what was happening. I needed to hear from other people what they had gone through. So I was I was giving back to my doctor what I had read, what I had heard. Another thing is that because you're going to be going to the doctors or to the oncologists or for scans and everything, almost half of the time, make sure to keep a journal because you're going to be looking back to pat yourself on the back and say, hey, Grace, oh, wow, so I jumped over that milestone. It's a very good feeling. And even if you cannot keep a journal, whoever accompanies you to because you need to go with someone. You can't do it all by
Right. I
yourself.
agree.
Get a trusted
Yes.
friend or family or whatever that can help you take notes because there's going to be so much you're doing and everything at the same time that can help you take notes because the doctors or the oncologists are going to be telling you this is what you ought to eat, this is what you have to avoid, all those kind of things. And just keep the faith. That's it. Keep the faith. Be positive.
I
Be
like that.
positive, because the mind, if you have a good mental resilience, there's nothing you will not overcome.
That's true.
Nothing. I was a stage 3 breast cancer. A
Right.
lot of people with stage 1 and 2 have died.
Right. You're really lucky because you did, like you said, you accepted it and you were calm and you asked questions and you had
Yes, I was
support.
scared, but I
Yes,
had to be
right,
calm.
right. Right, and you asked the right
Mm,
questions. You had support because those
mhm,
people that come with you,
mhm.
they're thinking of it from a different angle as well. They probably had some questions that you didn't even think of.
Exactly,
Right.
exactly, absolutely.
I have the same personal kind of experience. One of the doctors I went to, it was not for my breast cancer, but for the brain tumor. I went by myself. My husband couldn't come, and I had no idea what he said to me, and I was totally
Mhm.
freaked out. And I remember crying driving home because I'm like,
Yeah,
I have no idea what because I was just, it was too overwhelming. And so then after that, I made sure I needed someone there with me um,
yeah.
when I had these doctor's appointments. And you just got to have someone listen, and they're just there to support you as well. So
Yes.
you're not
And like
alone.
I told a friend of mine who just before COVID was diagnosed. Luckily, it was a stage 2. I told her, I said, "What do you have a phone for? Your phone has a recorder. Just press play. That's it.
Oh,
And just allow the doctor to talk and you ask the questions. If no, because she was like, Grace, there's nobody, everybody's doing their own thing and everything. I said, okay, fine, but just record. Just record. You have a machine. Your phone is your machine,
perfect.
recording machine. So that when you get back home now, you can play over, you understand what has been told. And, you know,
That's the
then you would have been in one spot, relaxed, and then you can press replay, you know.
That's
So
great
that's,
advice, and that's something I didn't do. I think
yeah.
well, 6 years ago, I don't my iPhone was different, but I just didn't
Yeah.
I didn't think of that, right? See, that is
Mhm.
great advice.
Yes, yes.
And
Just prep because not everybody is going to have the time to go with you to,
correct. At
I
least
mean, not all the time, maybe a couple of times, but the days that they can't come with you, just say, Doctor, please, I need this because I know I'm not going to understand a word of what you're saying. I press play. And he'll go on and keep talking. And you keep asking questions if you can, or just allow everything sink in. Your phone will do the rest of the job.
you can review it again and again, multiple times.
Yes, yes, yeah.
That is really helpful. And I do remember you're making me think about all my experience. I remember the nurses were really helpful to
Hmm.
me. The nurses were more, for me, more conversational and telling me stuff the doctors didn't,
Yes,
right?
yes, yes. Usually it's the nurses
Mm.
because the doctors are on to the next, you
Correct.
understand?
Patient.
But you kind of forge a like I did too, you're right. Forge the relationship with the nurses because they're the ones that are going to give you, take your BP, do everything before you actually see the doctor, right? Or
Hmm.
take your blood. So you're already hitting them up with conversations, you know. So and they give you tips and stuff like that, you know. So yeah, the nurses are very conversational.
I like that.
The doctors just do whatever, you know. They're
They mean well,
your
right?
doctor is your doctor, and they're like, you know,
Empathetic.
lecturers in school. Let's put it that way. Very very strict and tough,
I
but doesn't mean that they care less. But the nurses have more time because they're strapping you up to take your blood, conversations flow. They're taking your blood pressure readings, conversations flow. You know, they ask, how are you today, miss? You say you're fine, and how are you? You know, so you build up that rapport, you know.
the best advice I got was after the first chemo treatment, and the nurse told me because the kind of I was having was going to make my hair fall out, and she recommended
Hmm.
I go have my head shaved with a
Hmm.
and it was more because I think I was having clumps starting to fall out, and that is
Hmm.
stressful as heck, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, she said, you won't have to deal with it stressing out in the shower or waking up with clumps on your pillow. So I know that sounds crazy. So I went and got my head shaved, and then my whole family did it too, which was my
Hmm.
my. I thought that was kind of cool. So my whole family, my husband and my son, were all involved.
Hmm.
I have to
Hmm.
laugh about it because that's just, we had to make good out of the situation.
Yes, indeed. It happened to me too. I mean, I was like, I had long black hair, you know, shoulder length,
Uh
and
huh.
it was actually my daughter that suggested and said, something, you step out and we're going to, and it felt more empowering that
Yes.
I was in charge of the situation
Yes.
now. Hair, go to hell, but I cut you off myself, that kind of
Exactly.
thing.
Right. And that's
Yeah.
very empowering because you didn't have to, that extra stress, you eliminated.
Yes. Yes.
And it was a
Yes.
fun situation.
It was fun. Yes.
Because we all shaved our heads at the same time, and we made it
Mm-hmm.
like, we're going to support you, Mom. And so it was,
Bless.
and the one thing they did tell me, she says, we don't know how your hair is going to grow back, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because some people came back with straight up gray hair, and mine did not. I mean, I have some gray now because it's been 6 years, but
Yeah.
no, my hair was super curly when it came back.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I really had a little afro. I really did for about a year
Mm-hmm.
because it was
I
curly.
had an afro too.
Right.
I still have an afro. I still have, but my hair came out. Yeah, I had bits of gray hair there, but it came out thicker.
Right. Mine did too. And so I was happy. Right.
Yes.
And then I did see my my oncologist a couple years later at a restaurant at a city called, it's a Marietta Square, where we go for like a farmer's market kind of thing. And I met his family. And I said, I'm so glad to see you. And then I said, I hope I never, ever see you again. And I said, don't take it personally.
Oh, that's a nice prayer. Yes, I hope I never, ever.
I said, don't take it personally. I said, but the way we met is not how I want to meet up again.
Yes.
I just think it's just really good to hear your story. I love your tips, and it is really helpful. And
Thank you so much.
Being empowered is so helpful in the healing process, I think.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So is there
Absolutely.
one thing?
Where are you actually?
I'm actually near Atlanta, Georgia.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, I'm in the metro area. I'm the northwest area of there. And so this is the good side of our traffic has gotten better. But I've been working remotely with my own business for a long time. So staying at home for the COVID didn't really affect me because I was used to it, right?
Okay.
But then I wasn't able to go see customers because I usually, we couldn't travel. And then a lot of my clients were working remotely as well. So so at least we can Zoom, which I think has been really helpful. And they're now, one of them here in Atlanta, they're slowly getting back into their office, but they have to be careful because with the fall coming up, we still have to be careful with school back in and how it's going to spread, this COVID I'm referring to, and people who have cancer or having treatment are more likely pick it up, just like an elderly person.
Absolutely. Because Dr. Fauci is saying, okay, these coming months is going to be tough and all that. So,
And we have to respect, I think, whatever you got to respect each other. And that's really, I think that's all that to me is what humanity is having some respect. You should have that. And anyway, so where can people learn more about you, Grace? Where can they find you on the web?
I have, I'm on LinkedIn, Grace Charrier, Grace B. Charrier. I'm on LinkedIn, where I put a lot of my content on. I'm also on Facebook, Cancer Convos with Grace B. That's my nom de plume, as they say, Cancer Convos with Grace B. Yes. And also, if I don't know if you knew, I just released my memoir.
Oh,
about
awesome.
Yes, it's called Impossicant. It can be found on Amazon. It's inspirational. It's funny. It's on Kindle. So if you don't want to buy the paperback, you can also buy the Kindle format.
Oh, that's cool.
It's called Impossicant. Impossicant is a combination of two words, impossible and cannot. So it's denying the fact that no, it's not possible, this couldn't have happened. So yes, Impossicant, IMPOSSICANT.
I spelled it right.
Yeah, fantastic.
I was writing it 'Cause you're like, okay, this is how it sounds like when you said the two different words, and I was like, oh, okay, that's how it's ever.
Yeah, Impossicant. It's. I mean, I wrote it, but I can say that it's a very good book. It's funny, and then there's a glossary at the back
Uh-huh.
because with my African antecedents, for when I swear and use curse words and everything, you'll find it there at the back of the book, so you
That's
understand what
funny.
I'm saying.
I love it.
Yeah. So, but I'd love you to pick it up, or
Okay.
any of your listeners or viewers. You'd really like it. Yeah.
And what I'll do in the summary, guys, I'll have it written out in the summary, the links as well, so that
Yeah.
way you can go back and look that way. Some
I'm on
people,
YouTube, you know
oh yeah,
that, so you
YouTube.
can give them the links. Cancer Convos with Grace B, where I interview a variety of personalities about cancer, stakeholders, experts in the cancer world and health and nutrition. I speak to lawyers,
Yeah,
especially those who are scared about what they'll do about their estate if anything should happen. So I have a myriad of topics, very interesting topics that people would be very interested in. And next month is Breast Cancer Month, as you
right,
know.
right.
So we're right in the middle of it. We'll be having lots of personalities as well.
That's great. And again, guys, it's called Cancer Combos with Grace B, and I will put it in the summary. And I do appreciate you taking time out of your busy day.
Oh, Bridget, thank you for inviting me to your show. Very, very nice to talk to you as well.
It's very inspirational what you're doing. And
Thank you, dear. And
I,
you too.
it
And you
is.
too.
Thanks
My
again.
love to your family.
Thank you.
Take care.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.